Heyo everybody, Haku here with the third and final part of my 250 sub special, discussing every anime that I've ever seen, from least to most favorite. So here is going to be my top 22 favorite anime of all time that I've ever seen. Probably the one that you guys have been waiting for most, to see which ones I like the most of all. And this could be a really interesting one, so I'm really excited to see what you guys think of my favorites, and for you guys to comment and tell me what your favorites are. But I don't want to waste your time too much before actually getting to talk about those 22. So let's go ahead and get this started. My 22nd favorite anime that I have ever seen is Mikakunen de Shinkoke, or Engaged to the Unidentified is what it was released as in English. And I know you guys have heard me hating on romance for pretty much this whole list, but this is a romantic comedy, my 22nd favorite. And I actually did a review for it on the channel a while back, I believe, and I completely love it. It's one of my all-time favorite series, obviously, because I really, really like the characters and the comedy, the relationships between them all. It's all very, very well done. I thought, what is his name? Hakuya, Kobeni, and Konoha, they're all really, really good characters, really well written. I really like them. And Mashiro and Benio are two of my favorite anime characters of all time. The characters in this are really, really strong. And the comedy as well is really, really strong. And the great comedy is mixed really well with really good romance. The romance is written really nicely and also mixed well with good animation. And for the series, what it's actually about, a quick overview, it's pretty much about this girl finds out at age like 16 that she has been, that her grandpa essentially agreed for her to be married to this guy. So she is set up in this arranged marriage, and with the arranged marriage, the guy comes to live with her from out in the country, and he brings his little sister with him. So it's about her older sister, her fiance, and his younger sister all living together, and comedy ensues and stuff. And yeah, pretty much very, very funny. I don't want to like spoil or ruin much of any of the jokes, so I would say just watch it if you like comedies, especially if you like romantic comedies, because it's very, very good. Next up, my 21st favorite anime of all time is Seikon No Qwaser and its sequel, Seikon No Qwaser 2, and it was released in English as The Qwaser of Stigmata and The Qwaser of Stigmata 2. The basic general premise of this one is a bit weird, but it is a action shonen with action shonen type powers. The powers work as the Qwaser can control one element, and it's not like the fire, earth, wind sort of element. It's the alchemical periodic table sort of an element, like iron or cobalt or lithium. They get to control one element, but the fuel of their power, and here's where it gets weird as shit, is breast milk. So before each really awesome, good-looking battle, well-animated and everything, is a titty-sucking sequence usually. So yeah, there is a lot of ecchi and a lot of fan service, obviously, but the thing is, I thought with a premise like that it would kind of suck, or that it would be mostly about the fan service, but the plot actually turned out really, really good. I was so surprised, because I was like, at first I'm like, I'm watching this for titty sucking, I'm not watching it for the plot, and then I was like, oh shit, the story is actually pretty damned good. So yeah, I would say the plot and action, especially the fight sequences, are really good looking. It is some of the best. It's a really, really solid action shonen. Like, I was completely surprised by how good it actually was. And it actually, I thought it would be very unbalanced with the fan service, but it actually had a pretty good balance with fan service. I mean, it was a little much at times, but it actually struck a pretty good balance. And the fan service is part of the plot. I would say, just like how One Punch Man having a hero that's super strong from the beginning, that's a hindrance to the plot, that's a handicap they have to overcome, and they did overcome it. With Seikon No Qwaser, having fan service as part of the plot is a handicap, and I think it overcame it quite well. Also, I love the universe. It's really unique. And the concept of it's pretty good. I mean, it feels weird saying that about something where your powers are fueled by breast milk, but whatever. But the characters were actually awesome. I really liked the characters, and maybe the best part was the powers were really cool. I love the concept of just being able to control one element of the periodic table. Like, that's something that I guess it's the closest thing it could remind me to is Full Metal Alchemist, but it's like it works so well. It's really a creative type of thing. I mean, I haven't really seen it anywhere else, so I did enjoy it quite a bit. And that was my 21st favorite, so let's move on to our top 20. My 20th favorite anime of all time is Killa Kill. And Killa Kill's basic premise is that this girl in a world where there are clothes that enhance your powers or give you powers from wearing them, her father was killed and she is trying to hunt down the person who killed her father. She runs into this super powerful living outfit and uses that to go and still try to track down and get revenge for whoever killed her father. And it is very, very good. I mean, I will be honest, to me, the plot was not the strongest, but the excitement and the actual just enjoyment levels, it was not the most complex plot, but the enjoyment levels were so high. It was so entertaining, so over the top. The art and the animation was really beautiful. It really... I wasn't sure how I would like it at first, because I'm usually the type, I like more of a traditional style of art with anime. And this did have some of that traditional style, but it really tried new things, and the new things it tried looked pretty nice to me. I thought the animation was one of the high points. The action was crazy and over the top. So was the comedy. It was very, very funny. The action was enjoyable as well, I believe I've already said. The setting and the powers I did really, really like. One of the best things, it had a great soundtrack. Its OST is amazing. And then it's actually an allegory. It's a spiritual successor in a lot of ways to Gurren Lagann, and Gurren Lagann was an allegory from the journey from boy to man. And Killa Kill, similarly, is an allegory of the journey from girl to being woman. And it is really actually well done. I think that the villains were hateable, but really good. I thought that the actual characters were really good. There was not really a specific complaint I have about Killa Kill, except that it was just awesome, enjoyable, but it wasn't that... I guess it was kind of deep, though, because it did work really well as an allegory. So, I mean, I think that it worked overall. That's my 20th favorite. And my 19th favorite anime I've ever seen is one that we just got done watching for the channel sort of recently, 91 Days. Now, 91 Days is hype all around. The basic premise, once again, it is about these... it's about this guy who, when he was a kid, his family was killed by the mafia, so he goes down trying to hunt down the mob family that killed his family and trying to get his revenge. It's just a classic revenge story, a great mafia story. It is like, I don't know, it's like if you want to see Godfather but done in an anime, this is probably it for you. It's one of the most realistic and just... It probably is the most realistic and the best portrayal of mafia in anime that I've ever seen. It is really, really cool. And I think the realism is a really good thing about it. Another thing, it's a bit woefully underrated for me. It's just like, in this day and age when there are so many fans looking for this over-the-top action shonen, fan service everywhere stuff, some of the more serious adult stories like this do kind of get passed over when it comes to ratings, and that's a bit sad because it really is very well done. It had a brilliant story, felt very realistic, the characters were so great, it had a really a strong sense of storytelling to it, a really strong sense of storytelling that, in my opinion, we don't see that often with anime. At least we see it every now and again, but it just isn't that common. And for me, the cinematography, can we even call it cinematography when it's animation? But like the angles and the way everything was structured and shot, it felt like a mafia movie. It felt like a great mafia movie. It was really good, and I guess if I can call it the cinematography of it, that was a strong point for it. The music in the animation as well, I really liked the music. It really fit the more somber tones most of the time, and the animation was great as well. It wasn't this big, huge, sort of mega high budget animation, but it was very, very nice. It was what you would expect of a good anime. So, yeah, I don't have any complaints. Once again, 91 Days is, God, it's friggin' amazing. I would say if you're into the more serious, more adult anime, you've got to watch it. My 18th favorite anime is Nanatsu no Taizai, or The Seven Deadly Sins in English. Basic premise, this princess goes and tries to bring together the 7 knights from long ago that were sort of separated and whatever. And I'm not going to get too far into the backstory because I don't want to spoil anything, but that's basically it. It's an action shonen with your typical action shonen setup and powers, that sort of thing. And it was really, really good. There was a 4-episode sequel, but I didn't watch that. I thought the art was very creative. It's not the sort of art that I typically like, but I thought it was just so creative and done so well that it worked. The music was amazing. It's one of my all-time favorite soundtracks, especially Perfect Time was one of my favorite soundtrack pieces. I feel like it overcomes a similar handicap to One Punch Man, with the main characters already being powerful, very powerful from the start, and they don't really have to build up anything. I think that it has that similar handicap, and it really overcomes it pretty well. I honestly couldn't stop watching it. I think I watched the entire show, and it's like 24 episodes. I think I watched the entire thing in 2 days, maybe. Yeah, I think I watched it within like 2 days. It was really, really good. And my favorite part, I loved the final battle. The final battle was so good. It had a few character struggles here and there. I think the romance was probably the biggest down, once again, for a show. The romance was probably the biggest cause of character struggles. There were some characters who did feel a little bit generic, a little bit one-toned. But there were also some very good characters. So, I don't know, it was kind of eh. It was mostly just very, very exciting and enjoyable. But the thing for me is, it worked, and I loved it as a short 24-episode story, and that's probably why I haven't read the manga, because to me, I don't know how much it would be interesting to me past what was already told. I don't know if there's any more to it that I would want to see. I liked what was there, but I don't know if I would like having more added on to it. So that's where I am with Nanatsu no Taizai. I really, really loved it, but I'm not sure that I want to read the manga. I mean, I guess maybe I will at some point, and if they have a sequel, like real long full sequel, I guess I'll watch it. But for right now, it's one of my absolute favorites. It's just it's hard to explain. It's one of my absolute favorites, but you would think that I would want to continue on and read more of it, but I kind of just want to leave it in my mind and heart as it is. I don't want anything further to knock it down any if it goes on too long and decreases in quality, you know? My 17th favorite anime is Shingeki no Kyojin, or Attack on Titan in English. And before I get into talking about it, basic premise, if you don't know, it was super widely popular, so you probably do. But it's basically a world where humanity is trapped behind these walls, and there are giants called the Titans that pretty much have them trapped within the walls and are pretty deadly and eat humans and all that. And it's much more complex than that, but that's just the basic premise, the basic setup. It, in my opinion, like a lot of you are probably going to say in the comments that I put it this high, it is super overhyped. Super duper overhyped. And because of its success, they milk the hell out of it, which is why I would never... I just do not want to watch the stupid little thing they made, like Attack on Titan Middle School or something. That seems so dumb. So they milk the hell out of the series, but just watching the actual anime, it is one of the best ever made. It really deserved success. Is it a bit overhyped? Yeah, but it's still one of the best ever made. It's still really, really good. The story is still good. The animation is amazing. The animation, it looks groundbreaking. It is very nice. I love the detail and the art style. The creepy tones of it are very good. I completely love pretty much everything about it. There are a few down points. I think the music, animation, and art are great. I think the story is powerful. I think it's enjoyable. And I think it maintains an air of mystery about it that I like. The action is beautiful, but the thing I think about the action is, though it's beautiful, it's flashy, it's big, there isn't much weight behind it. I mean, there's the weight of, oh, if they mess up, somebody will die, but it's like they just fly around swinging blades everywhere. The Titans just jump everywhere and swing arms everywhere, but it doesn't feel very weighty, and a lot of it oftentimes doesn't feel super realistic. But yeah, I still feel like it was pretty good in the action department. It was at least fun to watch. The characters struggled with being generic. This is the one big down point I have for it, even though I absolutely love it. Eren, Mikasa, and Armin are the three main characters, and even the side characters as well. Most of the characters seemed very one-toned. They were very one-dimensional characters. They didn't have much going for them besides one thing. That is the big problem, is that the characters were pretty generic. It was a great story, and it was a great universe, but the author put some pretty crappy characters in it. Another thing that I think wasn't the best was whenever they tried to do a comedy bit, their comedy bits kind of bombed. They were just, it just wasn't a funny show, even when it tried to be. So I don't think they should have even tried the comedy bits. They seemed kind of just weird and off. It just didn't fit the show. It didn't fit the theme or the feeling, the emotion of the show, the tone, I guess. So yeah, I think the attempted comedy was a bit butchered, and that's one of the down points, but overall, still one of the best shows I've ever seen. Overhyped, but it deserves a portion of that hype. My 16th favorite anime of all time is Sabajibu, or in English, Survival Game Club. Now this one was a comedy. It was a bit of a nonsense comedy. The basic setup, of course, is that this girl ends up joining the Survival Games Club, and pretty much they go out with the little fake sort of... they compete against other survival game teams using these fake pistols and guns and stuff with the fake ammo and whatever. But the funny part is, every episode is shot from sort of their imagination. So when you watch each episode, it's like everybody on both teams is serious. When the bullets hit them, it's like an actual bullet wound and they die in the episode. Then at the very end, they all come back together because it was just their imagination and their creativity while playing the survival game. But it is very, very funny. I would say it's the funniest comedy that I've ever seen. It's hard to say exactly what comedy does right usually, but I could say that it's everything with Sabajibu. I'd say it does everything right. It's crazy and nonsensical comedy, but it's very, very good. It doesn't try too hard. It is what it is. And it's also very self-aware and smart with what it does with its comedy. It can do like a fart joke, something like crude humor like that, but still know what it's doing and do it right. Like, it can pull pretty much anything off for me. It has really, really good characters. I love the characters. And I also love the parodies it does. Like, a lot of its episodes are parodies, and it parodied Mad Max, it parodies Predator. A lot of the episodes are parodies of these various famous movies and stuff, and it does them incredibly, incredibly well. It's very self-aware, I've said, and I think that's one of the biggest and best things for a comedy. It's what the Manmusu manga does very, very well. So Sabajibu, I would say, if you are into comedy, if you want to laugh, it's probably the funniest I've seen. Next up, my 15th favorite anime of all time is Bimbo Gamiga, or released in English as Good Luck Girl. And Bimbo Gamiga is very, very funny once again. The basic premise is that this girl has very just such good luck that it's taking luck away from everyone else around her. She's beautiful, she's smart, she's rich. Everything in life works out for her. Her luck is so good that people around her are becoming more and more miserable because she's so lucky. So the gods send the god of poverty and misfortune to go sort of take some of that luck away. So the whole show is basically around the girl trying to keep her luck and fighting back using her luck against the god of bad luck, who has terrible luck, so she can never really take the luck, and it's going back and forth, and it is hilarious. I love how funny it is. It's the second funniest, probably close to Sabajibu, but not quite as funny. But the reason it's even higher up than Sabajibu is it has an amazing story. I loved the story and the moral of, is it right to want to keep this luck? Is it right to want to keep all this stuff for yourself? Should you be more selfless? Should you use your luck to help others? What's the right thing to do in this situation? It has a really good right or wrong moral quandary sort of story, and it's done very, very well. I think the characters are geniusly funny. I love Momoji, who is the god of bad luck. I love the main character. I don't even remember her name. Ichiko. Ichiko was really, really good character. Bobby and Momo are probably my favorite characters, though. They were the freaking best. I guess really the strong story mixed well with the strong comedy. I don't know. I feel like the story to me was better. It was more attractive to me because it was one of the better stories I've ever seen. But the comedy was also up there close with Sabajibu, the funniest I've ever seen. So it was really, really good. And I even loved the setting too, but the characters may have even been my favorite part because the characters were really developed and pretty damn deep. And beyond being deep and developed, they were very, very funny. So I just think it did well. I loved the music for it. I think it did referential humor very, very well. It references like One Piece, Dragon Ball, tons of series, and it does it very well. It's very good referential humor. So honestly, I can't fault it once again for anything specifically because it does just about everything perfectly, or better than what I would call perfect in some shows. So I would say 100%, if you're looking for a good story, a laugh, or both at the same time, definitely be Mogami ga. Next up, number 14, my 14th favorite anime of all time is Girls und Panzer. And I think actually in English they just called it Girls and Panzer, but whatever, Girls und Panzer. I haven't seen the movie yet because the movie didn't have English subs, I think, out anywhere reasonable until recently, so I gotta get and watch that. Gotta watch that soon. And the second season has actually been announced to be greenlit, and I'm very excited for that because I obviously loved it. It's my 14th favorite of anything I've ever seen. But it was super, super fun. The basic premise is that it's in a world where tank fighting is a school sport. So it's about this all-girls school, or at least I think it's an all-girls school. I only ever saw girl characters. But it's basically about this school's tank team. So all of these girls are, they're, I think, at the end of the show, and currently I think there are 32 members of the tank team, and all 32 characters are really enjoyable for me. I really like the characters. So they get into their tanks. I think there's like 6 or 7 tanks on their team, and different teams have different amount, different types of tanks. And they go off and they have tank battles as school competition. And like there are different schools that are sort of like different countries from from World War II era, whatever, that use the tanks and dress like that country or whatever. And I really, really love that. Like there's like Pravda, which is like Russia, or Saunders, which is like America, and a lot of really cool stuff in there. I really, really love this show. It was super, super fun. I love the story and the characters. It just really exceeded my expectations with how much I would love it. It looked very nice as well. I thought the animation was good, and I thought the tank fights were so well done. I'm pretty sure they said they had like an actual military advisor to help them choreograph the tank fights for the anime, and it kind of showed. It was really, really nice. Especially if you're the type of person, if you like that type of video game, or if you like World of Tanks or something, definitely watch this. It's really, really fun. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much where I am with Girls in Panzer. I would say give it a watch. Next up, my 13th favorite anime of all time was Death Note. Now, Death Note, for me, it's one of the best stories in anime. The basic premise is that this guy gets this book, and whoever's name he writes in the book dies. And also, if he writes how they die, they will die in that way. And there are a lot of rules to it. There are just a freaking huge amount of rules, and it's a very complex show and universe, but a very, very good one. I love the complexity, how powerful and unpredictable the story was. Just really the characters were strong as well. I thought the art was nice and unique. It wasn't like amazing, but it was nice and unique. And I think it's aged pretty good, actually. So I really, again, don't have any complaints. I don't have any huge things to get into without spoiling anything. Just, that's the basic premise, and it turns into possibly the... it's at least one of the best plot lines in all of anime, in my opinion. So I would say, if you want to see something that'll really amaze you plot-wise, watch Death Note. Next up, my 12th favorite anime of all time is One Piece, and for those of you that, for whatever reason, don't know what One Piece is about, shonen, long-running, pirates, shonen abilities, that sort of thing. I just threw a bunch of words out there, but yeah, pretty much a long-running shonen action-adventure about pirates with special shonen-type abilities. But it is the strongest long-running anime. It's probably my second favorite manga / manhwa, but second to Tower of God. And even then, it's a very, very close fight. But it's the strongest long-running anime because it stands up plot-wise to the short 12 to 24 episode anime. It's better than most in plot. And it still has some great and unpredictable twists and reveals that happen here 756 or so episodes in. I think I'm recording this at 765 episodes, actually. So yeah, it's still strong, still having unpredictable twists and reveals this far in. Zoe and the pre-time skip One Piece's actual production quality as well stands up to that of these 12 to 24 episode anime. It's very well animated and done there. Even Punk Hazard wasn't very bad. The only thing I can say though, Fishman Island, Dressrosa, and any of the post-time skip filler is pretty shitty when it comes to both pacing and production quality, though it still isn't as bad as a lot of Naruto or Fairy Tail, so even the low points aren't even that low. So yeah, and I would say Dressrosa is the low point for the anime, and even it was not that low. So really, One Piece is just great overall. It's a long-running anime that can maintain a story quality of a short-running one, and I really, really respect it for that. And that's why it's my 12th favorite. So number 11, my 11th favorite anime is one that I did review for the channel, Yurikuma Arashi. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I know what that means. I know a few Japanese words. That means lesbian bear storm. This is going to be weird and stupid, so I'm just going to watch it. Because at first, when I was doing the reviews of certain anime, I was like, I just want to watch a bunch of really obscure and really crappy anime, so I'm going to look for something that looks really bad. And I saw something that I was like, oh, lesbian bear storm? This is going to be bad. Then I watched it and I was like, it's one of the best that I've ever seen. But, yeah, so, sorry, hiccup. My 11th favorite, I thought it would suck, but it was really a clusterfuck of genius. Basic premise is that there was a wall built to separate the human and bear world, and bears were trying to eat... Like, bears rose up and became intelligent and were trying to eat humans, and there's a lot of things that are unexplainable without spoiling anything. So, yeah, just... there's a bear coming into the human world. Bears and humans are separated by a wall. So it's a pretty silly plot, but it is just genius. It is all art and symbolism. This whole show is just symbolism after symbolism, and it is so freaking good. It has a really, really strong story that really affected me a lot personally. It really touched me. It touched my heart very, very much. And if you're looking for something that, I don't know, it broke me a little bit. But like, if you want something to really touch you like that, I would. Sounds weird. I would say watch Yuri Komadash. It's probably one of the best art-driven anime to me. Just the art is so good. The design, the animation, it's all so beautiful. The soundtrack is like probably one of my absolute favorites, if not my absolute favorite. Ginkgo is one of the best characters in all of anime. It is just so genius. The sad thing, though, is it's one of those that got kind of a low rating. I know you can't really... It's like, I was getting the pictures that I used in the corner here off of my anime list, and when I got there, occasionally I would scroll down to the reviews, and some of the reviews of so many series, if you want to be disappointed in anime fans, if you want a reminder that anime fans, a lot of them maybe aren't very bright, look at reviews on my anime list, because there are people... They'll write like a 9-page review, like trying to be very smart and edgelordy, but they start off this like 9-page review like, well, there were a lot of good anime this season, like Sword Art Online 2. And I'm like, okay, so you're not credible whatsoever then. Yeah, this anime, looking at things people said about it, is yet another reminder that some anime fans aren't the brightest, and some shows go over a lot of people's heads. So yeah, I think that's a little bit sad, but if you like really artsy things, like if you love paintings, things that are very good art, I would say watch this and just analyze the hell out of it. It is really, really needlessly deep, but in a good way, I feel. It was really a touching experience. And now kicking off my top 10 with my 10th favorite anime ever, it is Seiho Bukyo Outlaw Star, or just Outlaw Star. I prefer just Outlaw Star. Just why add in that part of the beginning in Japanese? Okay, whatever. Outlaw Star. It is it's a genius 90s anime, and its basic premise is that this guy is pretty much Star when talking Enterprises, but the guy does whatever people ask of him. He's sort of a do anything, like he runs a business where people call up and him and his partner Jim just go out and do whatever sort of job they have for them, whether it's like sort of like bounty hunting, whether it's delivering stuff. They have that, and this guy's, I guess it's not really his dream, but it's something he kind of has to do. I'm trying hard not to spoil anything because some plottish stuff happens at the beginning, but the guy's kind of afraid of space, but his goal eventually is to find this place called the Galactic Ley Line. So it's almost like One Piece in space, only it's only like 26 episodes, and it's very, very freaking good. I just love it. I'm not even the biggest fan of space anime, but it's so good. It's one of two anime that I would credit my love of anime to. There are two anime out there, one's coming later on the list, that I would say those two are what made me fall in love with anime, and Outlaw Star is one of them. So you can thank the fact that I even have this channel, that I'm even doing this. You could thank that on Outlaw Star. And the animation, the stories, and the characters are all really great, and they've aged well. Even to this day, I still can go back and watch it and just really love it. The plot's really strong. It's got really amazing and enjoyable characters. The characters might be my favorite part of this. Once again, characters can really make or break a series. And the designs and style are so nice. I can't say anything bad about Outlaw Star, because it is possibly the best thing ever to me. And Aisha Clan from Outlaw Star is probably either her or Android 18 is maybe the first anime girl that I ever looked at and was like, damn, that drawing is waifu. So it also started my my attraction to anime girls. Very weird. But yeah, my 10th favorite anime of all time, Outlaw Star. Definitely give it a watch. It is a classic. My 9th favorite anime of all time is Towaru Majutsu no Index and Towaru Majutsu no Index 2 by extension. And in English, it is a certain magical index and a certain magical index 2. So I really love the world and setting. This is probably my, and I'm going to explain it right here, it's probably my favorite setting in all of anime. Like, Naruto's world is pretty cool. This is my favorite world in any anime. So basically, there are two sides of the world in a bit, science and magic, and there's this big city called Academy City, where the science side, it's like the world me and you live in, but just slightly bit into the future. And it's not completely explained, but there are people that have started exhibiting powers, and they're known as espers. And Academy City is a place where kids go to sort of find themselves and sort of be better at being espers, find their abilities, train their abilities. It's pretty much just a huge Academy City for people with powers. And there are a bunch of different powers, and all the powers are based on scientific principles, which I love. And they're ranked from level 0, who can barely use their powers at all, to like a level 1 who kind of knows what their power is and can kind of use it. Number 2, who can't really, or level 2s that can't really practically use their powers, but they're okay. Level 3s, which can use and control their powers to a normal extent. Level 4s, which can use their powers for combat and police work and stuff like that. And of course, there are 7 level 5s who are completely very, very powerful. And then, of course, this guy finds out that there's a whole other side of it, that magic actually exists, and there are people that can do magic as well. And the magical side, all of the people who can use magic, their powers are based on different religious principles. And I really, really like that. It's just such an interesting concept for the universe. And people who use magic can't be an esper, use esper powers. And people who are an esper can't use magic, or else it will tear their body apart. So again, very, very awesome. I love it. It has a huge cast of really amazing characters, and they all have varying depth, but they're all, and varying focus as well, but they're all pretty deep. They're all pretty well done. It's probably, like I said, my favorite anime world, and both seasons handle it very, very well. Both seasons have a solid story. It does have fan service, but the fan service is done with a very, very good balance with the actual feels and action and comedy. It's got a very good balance to it. There's, again, not a real complaint out of me. Pretty much everything about it is one of my favorite things ever. So, Towaru Majutsu no Index at number 9. Let's move into number 8. My 8th favorite anime of all time is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now, I'm counting Brotherhood and not the original because Brotherhood is canon, and because I didn't really like the original that much, and Brotherhood is freaking amazing. Basic premise is that it's in a world where alchemy exists, set around the 1910s, 1920s sort of era, and alchemy exists, and these two brothers, after their mom died, tried to use alchemy to bring her back to life, and because human alchemy is a big no-no, one brother lost his body and the other lost a leg. Then the one that was still alive, sacrificed his arm to trap the one who just had his body destroyed. He trapped his soul in a suit of armor. So now it's about the one brother with a prosthetic arm and leg, and the one who is just a soul trapped in a suit of armor, trying to go find a Philosopher's Stone, and sort of get their bodies back. Find a way to get their bodies back. And give up on trying to bring people back to life, because that shit's a no-no. And the story does everything right. The universe is brilliant. It has this good balance of realism and fantasy. It's just almost perfect in every single way that I can think of. And the characters are just really powerfully deep. They are very good. And again, I said characters can make or break a show. The characters are great. The animation and music is amazing, some of the absolute best. I can't find a single fault at all with Brotherhood. My favorite characters, just to throw some extra stuff in there, my favorite characters were Greed and Kimblee. I really liked Kimblee, even though he was sort of a bad guy. Not really sort of, he was a bad guy. But they're my favorite characters. I love Brotherhood, completely, just pretty much perfect. Can't find any fault in it. Next up, my 7th favorite anime of all time is Katekyo Hitman Reborn, or released in English as just Reborn. So Katekyo Hitman Reborn, I love the universe and the powers. It is sort of, it's about, the basic premise is the 9th generation of the Vangala crime family is about to, their boss is about to die out, and this boy who's a loser, he's bad at every single thing ever. He is like, he starts off the series as bad at every single thing ever. And he is chosen, and this hitman who is in the body, trapped in the body of a baby, comes to visit him and says, I'm your new tutor. I am going to raise you to be the 10th generation boss, and you're going to have to put together your 10th generation family. So it's about this kid who is pretty much just being trained to be a mafia boss, bringing his family together, and actually making friends and making them into his mafia family. And it is so good. I think it's really a good depth where there are a lot of characters that aren't combat characters. It is a shonen long running. I think it had like 8 seasons with a bunch of cool shonen powers. But even with that, it's like, even with the great shonen powers, it's like some of them are combat characters, some are non-combat, but there's this really strong sense of family that I love. The character growth for the main character is the most and best character growth I have seen in any show. The way he goes from the beginning of the show to the end of it is just very, very incredible. The music is great. There's just a really good balance of action and comedy with the beautiful sense of family between characters. And the character variety, and not just design variety, because a lot of shows can do that, but the actual personality variety is very, very nice. Characters, once again, done very, very well. So for me, Katekyo Hitman Reborn is my 7th favorite. My 6th favorite anime of all time is Hunter x Hunter, the 2011 version, of course. There was a 1999 version, I think, but the 2011 version is revamped and is much, much better. It's probably genuinely regarded as one of the better anime of all time, one of the best of all time. Basic premise is that it's a father of action shonen. This kid sets out from his island to become a hunter, and the hunter organization is an organization of the strongest people in the world, and they go out to do different special jobs and everything, so he sets out to go join the hunter organization and to pass their exam and everything, and it goes on from there. And the story and characters are amazing. Once again, characters really making something a million times better. Every single arc is solid. There is not a bad arc in Hunter x Hunter. It's widely regarded, like I said, as one of the best anime, and it is beyond unique. It has very good feels. It does darkness very well. I think that it can do light and dark storylines both very, very well. And me and my friend talked about it once, and we talked and we were like, it's one of those things where if Hunter x Hunter was the first anime you ever saw, you'd be like, okay, this is what anime is. This is kind of weird, but it's really good. But as somebody who's watched a ton of anime, it's even better. It feels even more refreshing, even more good, having seen a ton of other shows. It's just refreshing, amazing, and possibly, in my opinion, the most creative anime. It is just very, very good creativity-wise. The powers, the system of powers, for me, is the most well-written in shonen. The only thing is the Towa Majutsu no Index universe. That universe is the only one that I think can stand up to Hunter x Hunter's with well-written powers. And that's it. It's my 6th favorite, one of the best ever, honestly, and just looks, sounds, and is beautiful. My 5th favorite anime ever is Yu Hakusho. And Yu Hakusho is actually written by the same person as Hunter x Hunter, and it is a grandfather, or at least, well, maybe not a grandfather, Dragon Ball Z is like a grandfather of anime. Yu Yu Hakusho is like a father of anime, specifically a father of action shonen. It is it's the other anime other than Outlaw Star to which I can attribute my love of anime. If it were not for Outlaw Star and Yu Yu Hakusho, I probably wouldn't be into anime like this. I probably wouldn't have a channel. I might not even watch anime in general. So it is one of those that I can credit with getting me into it. Basic plot is that this kid is a no good ne'er-do-well. He is just a thug kid, always skipping school, always getting in trouble and in fights and stuff. And pretty much everybody agrees that he's a really shitty dude. And he doesn't really care. He just goes around doing whatever he wants. And then he sees a kid about to get hit by a car, so he pushes the kid out of the way and saves his life. So then he goes and meets the son of the King of the Underworld. And the King of the Underworld's son, once the kid dies, or once the guy dies, is like, you know what? You spent your whole life doing these bad, terrible deeds, and I would almost want to send you to hell, but the thing is, in your last dying moment, you saved somebody's life out of the selflessness of your own heart. So I'm going to go and I'm going to give you a second chance. And you are going to use this second chance in order to be my spirit detective. Now that you've already died, you can see spirits and demons and stuff, and there are demons and stuff from the demon world leaking into the real world, and I'm going to need to go and have you capture them and send them back to me. So pretty much the guy goes around as like, you can tell Bleach and Naruto were both, and also Hunter x Hunter, were all very heavily inspired by Yu Yu Hakusho. It was written by the same person as Hunter x Hunter, I've said. And the characters are just amazing. The storyline is amazing. The plot is still really iconic and good to this day. The animation has aged a bit, but I think it still looks it's got a very classic look to it, and the music is great. I still like the music. But I think it's still a very, very fun anime to watch. Even to this day, I can go back and watch it now and think it's good. It was voted the second best anime. I haven't really done this for any of the others. But it was actually voted the second best anime of 1993 and the best of 94 and 95. So it was like a big action shonen before One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach came around. It is like one of the originals, a father of anime, and my fifth favorite of all time. My fourth favorite anime of all time is Haito Genso no Grimm Guard, or Grimm Guard of Fantasy and Ash. And this one, basic premise, a bunch of kids wake up in this alternate world. None of them have any memory or know what's going on. All they know is that they need to become soldiers and fight monsters in order to make money, and that's their only way to survive, so they're forced into doing it. And it is the most realistic take on fantasy that I have ever seen. It is just so very small and real and down to earth. It is so good. The action is the weightiest and most real feeling. The emotions, again, are the most real feeling that I've seen in anime. It's just I feel saddened because, like Yurikuma Arashi, it's another series that was too smart for a lot of people. I saw, if you go and look at any of the reviews or anything, it's pretty much, or anybody leaving comments on it, there are a lot of people acknowledging how great it is. Especially, I've seen a ton of YouTubers making videos on how great and well done it is actually made when it comes to actual realistic combat and personalities. But the problem is that so many people complained because this isn't like Sword Art Online. This isn't fancy shiny explosions everywhere. A lot of people these days sadly seem to want the same old generic fan service again and again and again, with no actual plot, no actual character. And this is one of those that again brings out the sad state of a lot of anime fans. But at least hopefully those sorts of fans that the Sword Art Online fans are growing up and getting into more stuff as they get older, and they're hopefully can accept some better shows happening every once in a while. But Grimm Guard was sadly another one of those that seemed too smart for a lot of people. And it seemed to take a a sort of thing, this whole fantasy alternate world, if it is a video game world, that is almost always done badly. Sword Art Online being a huge example. Overworld or Overlord kind of being another somewhat kind of example of how it's usually almost always done pretty badly. But Grimm Guard does it to where it's impactful, it's heavy, it takes something done bad and does it good. So I think that there are great levels of realism here. The combat's done brilliantly, the art is beautiful, the OST is one of the best, once again, that I've ever seen, at least top 3. The characters are very deep and realistic, and it's hated for not being Sword Art Online. So that's very, very sad, but if you want to see something that's artsy, at first I didn't really like how it looked, almost like a painting. It looked, and I didn't really like that at first, but I came to love how detailed and unique the art was. It's beautiful in every way, the animation, the realism, the story, the characters especially. I'd say it's a must-watch. My third favorite anime of all time is Code Geass, and in Japanese it was Code Geass Hongyaku no Lelouch, I believe, and in English it was Lelouch of the Rebellion, and there are 2 parts, R1 and R2. There was an R3 OVA, but we don't talk about those because they were different characters and stuff and they weren't very good. So I'm leaving that out of this. It is really the most well-written story I've ever seen, anime or otherwise. I typically don't like mecha stuff. I'm not usually a huge fan, but it is, it's the best story I've ever experienced. I would say pretty much everyone should watch it because it's a story that I think anybody can get into. It's the best. I really can't think of a single story that's better. Now, there are obviously 2 more that I personally like more, but when it comes to the actual story quality, I can't think of any that can hold up to it. It has an incredible cast of characters. Again, characters done very well. The feels are brilliant. Some of the best written feels in anime. In the animation, meh, honestly. The animation wasn't very good. And that's the thing, for it to be number 3, despite animation being pretty meh, its music was really nice, but its plot was the best. No plot better in my opinion. So definitely number 3 for me, Code Geass. My second favorite anime of all time is Puella Magi Madoka Magica, or Mao Shoujo Madoka Magica. Also, after the original show, there were 3 movies, Beginnings, Eternal, and Rebellion. And the way it works is that the show had 12 episodes. Beginnings and most of Eternal retell the show in movie format, and Rebellion carries on the storyline from there. Now, this is probably the most beautifully animated series that I've ever seen, especially the movies. Probably my favorite art and the best art and best animation for me is Puella Magi Madoka Magica. So yeah, it's some of the best animation. It's my second or third favorite soundtrack once again. It's got a really, really deep and incredible story. The symbolism is very, very nice. I love the story. It's got my favorite anime character of all time, possibly. Or really a lot of my favorite anime characters of all time. Tomoe Mami, Kyubei the Incubator, so many of my favorite anime characters. Madoka herself. And pretty much everything is just very, very meaningful. So between the plot and everything being very, very meaningful, and the animation and art being the best I've seen, Puella Magi Madoka Magica is my second favorite anime of all time. And now my favorite anime of all time, Towa Kagaku no Railgun, and Towa Kagaku no Railgun S, or a certain scientific railgun, a certain scientific railgun S. And for me, it is still my favorite universe in anime because it is the universe of Towa Majutsu no Index. It is a spin-off of that, focusing on the character Misaki Mikoto. Yeah, Misaki Mikoto. And it is just beautiful. Its plot is brilliant. It's got possibly, again, the best feels in anime. My favorite universe in anime. Both seasons were completely incredible. The story for each season, I can't even decide which one is my favorite because the story for each of them was genius. Every way I can think of, it did the plot amazing. It had fan service better than about any fan service I've seen in any anime, feels better than about any feels I've seen in any anime, action better than any action I've seen in any anime, and comedy better than most comedy I've seen in any anime. And it had all four of those balanced very, very well. So I can't imagine anything better than something that has all four of those things balanced and some of the best. It was almost like it was pretty much almost perfect in its balance. The show, it felt really alive when you were watching it. You felt part of the universe. It felt really, really good. It did really light storylines very, very well, and it did very, very dark storylines very, very well. It could do both like dark and light storylines better than essentially any anime I've ever seen. So I really cannot fault it for anything. It is my favorite series, some of my favorite characters ever, a great soundtrack. It's just beautiful. The animation is beautiful. The animation's way better than the main storyline with Index. So that's it. My favorite anime ever was Tamakagaku no Railgun and Tamakagaku no Railgun S. I don't know, I think I may like S a little bit more, but the first season was just so amazing, I can't decide. And anyway, those are my favorite anime of all time. All 22 of those favorite ones, all 66 counting all three parts together. And I hope you guys enjoyed this 3-part special. And we will be doing another special video when we get to 500. So comment down there and help me decide that. Comment down there what your favorite anime are, what you think of all the ones I talked about, what you think of my list. Comment down there whatever you want, really. Like if you did like this video, though, that would be pretty nice. Subscribe for more of a ton of other stuff. If this is your first video of mine that you're seeing for whatever reason, sub if you want. Check out the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want as well. I'll try to keep you updated there on stuff for the channel, and that is it. So thank you for watching the third and final part of this, and I will see you all next time.